So good morning, gang. I want to point out something because this is part 2 of this study on Matthew 11:25-30. And it says here, and I'm reading out of the King Jimmy, and for those of you that have trouble with the early modern English, the Elizabethan English, I will be happy to translate and modernize what's said. So, it says here, shibby-dooby-doo, at that time Jesus answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and the prudent, meaning wise and prudent in their own eyes, and hast revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, and here's the emphasis, for so it seemed good in thy sight. Let me pause there for a moment. This is something I want to bring out. If something seems good in Father's sight, is that the last thing he has to say about it? Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. Is that the frame for what he has to say about it?
Yes.
Is the frame anything other than good here? So what happened in Genesis 1? He called it good. Was there any argument against what he had already called it?
No.
Even Satan's rebellion, was there any argument against what God had said?
No.
Is there an argument against God's design?
No.
Can God's design be uprooted?
Yeah.
How?
Free will choices and enemy attack.
Yes. All that said, his intention, his design, is that things reflect the good blueprint that he put out. So when Jesus is reflecting something that that he's attributing the Father saying it's good. If Jesus is saying the Father is saying something is good, he's going back to Genesis 1, and he is saying that same word, tov. It just means good. It's the basic Old Testament word for good. Tov. Kalos in the Greek. Beautiful, good, useful. He's referring to the goodness of creation. It was good in his sight to hide things from those who were wise in their own eyes, and reveal them unto the babes, the babies, the children, the little tiny ones, the undeveloped ones as so far. It helps us look at this theme of the gospel of desire, because this is Father's good pleasure and desire to give the revelation of the kingdom to small ones. People who are willing to convert and become as children, as babes. Trusting that their parents know what's best. Implicit trust. It's one of the first things a child learns when it comes out of its mother's womb, or doesn't. You have taught me to learn on my mother's breast, taught me to trust on my mother's breast. Eye-to-eye contact brings that generational gift of trust. Your primary caregiver is where you get your deposit of trust. If your primary caregiver did not get to trust because they were destabilized, you also will have a greater chance of becoming destabilized. They will give you destabilized understanding, destabilized memory. You'll feel it. Spirit-to-spirit connection. If your primary caregiver was given a point of stability, you will also be given that point of stability. Those who took care of you are where you derive your anchors from. If their anchor was not in a safe and stable place, neither will yours be, likely. Can you ask the Lord to replace the anchor? Yes. But it takes some intentionality to do that. Now, I can say that your primary caregivers, the three of you, are both sitting at this table. So when we see our behavior come out in y'all, the negative behavior or whatever the case, then it actually makes us shake our head, right? It's not a situation we derive lightly, but when we see the positive stuff come out and the trust and the, okay, I'm just going to do it with fierce intentionality, it makes us rejoice. Because you received a package from us while you're learning to trust. He revealed them unto babes. And it was good in his sight for this to be the means of transfer, eye-to-eye contact. Studies have been done that show the light frequencies actually carry data. The light frequencies that transfer from eyeball to eyeball. First thing that Father put in verbally to creation was time, space, the natural laws of science, and the light that flows across them when he said, let there be light. He got everything ready so that by the time he said, let there be light, all of these things were in place, and the matter. So, it was good in your sight, Lord, to hide from the wise and to reveal to babes. The three of you are babes that he wants to reveal stuff to. Babe is short for tiny human infant, not good-looking woman. Okay? This is early modern English. Babe is short for baby. So, all things delivered unto me of my Father, and no man knoweth the Son but the Father, neither knoweth any man the Father save the Son, which means save the Son means except the Son, and he to whomsoever the Son will reveal him, the Father, that is. It's good that this should be the process. There's a generational transfer of light from generation to generation. If there's darkness, then there's that transfer of that darkness from generation to generation. And then we have to learn how to exchange that darkness for light. So if the anchors are in the wrong places, we can ask Jesus to actually set the anchors in the right place that he wanted it from the beginning. Put our anchor and our trust in him. He leads us to his Father. We put our trust in his Father. And that actually helps bring everything back into alignment so that we're trusting in the Father of lights. Not in somebody who's not here. Because as you can see, there are going to be times when you're not going to have access to this parent, to that parent, to this person who spoke life into you, to that person. But you will always have the presence of the source that gave them that life so they could hand that life to you. So you have it one better because even though you might not have access to exactly the parent or the caregiver or the person that you want, you have access to their source. So even if I'm not here, you have access to him. He's the one who taught me. I mean, it's not like I'm got any secrets here that I'm trying to hide, except the ones he's told me not to share, y'all. He's the one who's got everything, so you can actually go directly to the source. You don't have to swim in my river. You can swim in your own river that he gives you. And that is a good thing, hearkening back to the discussion on creation. Good. It was good. If Jesus declares something good, it's hearkening back to Genesis 1, Garden of Eden. It was good. Tov. Kalos in the Greek. Questions, comments, or snide remarks?
Chaos.
Kalos.
Chaos.
Kalos. Kappa, Alpha, Lambda, Omicron, Sigma. So, I see what you're doing. You're pulling the men's pronunciation like your brother. Well played, dear. Do you have anything to add, my dear?
No, you're good.
Alright, so gang, just some thoughts here, Matthew 11:25-30, as you're reading through it. Look at that passage in verse 26. It seemed good in your sight. And think about all the things that seemed good in Father's sight to deal out to you, dear brothers and sisters. We love you guys. From the gathering at Bershavah, we say, be blessed.